I'm always interested. Every year, the NHLPA has their vote, and we reveal what the NHLPA thinks of its players. We all have our opinions on who the fastest, who the strongest, who the best, who the toughest players are. But I'm always interested to hear it from the players' perspective because they're the guys on the ice. They're the guys who know best who is actually the toughest to play, who's the fastest, and all of this. So I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to include a link to the article that I took this from in the description for this video because it's very interesting. Who's the league's fastest skater? 81%. So overwhelmingly, the players voted in favor of Connor McDavid. Second place is Michael Grabner with 3.6%. Nick Leddy got 2.4% of the vote. And then Dylan Larkin and Chris Kreider as well. So McDavid is the fastest. There's just no way around it. And then they asked skaters which goalie is the most difficult to score on. And Carey Price won with 41% of the vote, which is kind of a surprise. Only because Price isn't the guy who's having a fantastic year. Jonathan Quick is next with 12.1, then Pekka Rinne. Braden Holtby is fifth behind Sergei Bobrovsky. So it's an interesting top five because we're all talking about Vasilevsky being probably a Vezina winner, Freddie Anderson playing fantastic, and neither of them show up in the top five. Who's the most difficult player to play against? Sidney Crosby wins with 29.9% of the vote. Connor McDavid's next up at 23.7%. And then it's Patrick Kane, Shea Weber, and Anze Kopitar with low numbers. And there's probably a number of other players who got votes as well. Who's the toughest player? Ryan Reeves gets the vote with 44.7% of the vote. Milan Lucic was next up with 14.8%. And then Zdeno Chara is number 3 with 4.0%. And Michael Haley and Matt Martin get votes as well. So again, you know, I've had to defend that I think Chara's pretty damn tough, and people's like, he's not tough. Well, NHL players said he was, so that's 4%. So out of 500, that's over 20 guys that said, yeah, no, Chara's the toughest guy in the league. So that's kind of fun. Who's the most underrated player? This is a very close vote. Nicholas Backstrom gets the win with 8.6%. Jaden Schwartz had 6.8%. Nikita Kucherov had 6.2%, and Sasha or Alexander Barkov was next up with 6%. So I wonder about the other guys who didn't make that top four because, again, you have 8, 6, 6, 6. Like, these are low percentages, which means it's a really close vote. Which player's the best role model? Sidney Crosby wins this with 33% of the vote, followed by Jonathan Toews, Patrice Bergeron, Shea Weber, and Patrick Marleau. So Crosby's a role model. Again, this is the kind of stuff that's going to make some fans' heads explode. Which player would you select to start a franchise? Connor McDavid wins that vote with 48.6%. Connor McDavid with 23.8%. Third place is Austin Matthews, then Jonathan Toews and Erik Karlsson. The interesting one to me there is Erik Karlsson. Were these votes that were taken before the season started, or are these votes taken recently for that one? Which coach would you like to play for? This I always find interesting because these are the guys who players would say, okay, I will go to that team. Joel Quenneville is still first with 16.5%. John Cooper's next with 14.2%. Gerard Gallant, 11.6%. Mike Babcock, 7.5%. Laviolette, 4.9%. So, quick math, 41, 50. That's 52% of the vote. So, the other 48% went to other coaches. And some of these could be guys just voting for the one that they're being coached by right now. I would be really interested to see the complete results of that, though. That would be kind of fun. Which current assistant coach should be the next head coach? DJ Smith of the Toronto Maple Leafs won that one with an 8.3%. Then Todd Reirden at a 7.4%. Ulf Samuelsson of Chicago, 5.1%. Steve Ott of St. Louis, 5.1%. He's not very far removed from playing. And then Lindy Ruff of the Rangers with 4.2%. Which player would be a great coach once they retire? And this is a very close vote. Sidney Crosby wins it with a 5.7% vote, followed by Derek Stepan, Jason Spezza, Matt Cullen, Jonathan Toews. And since these votes are also close, and you're going 5, 4, 4, 4, 3, my guess is that guys are voting for players they play with, being like, this guy would be a really good coach. And there may be a few on their team that said, well, Crosby, clearly. But my guess is it's going to be a lot of guys voting for their own teammate that they feel would be the best coach. Who's the best referee? Wes McCauley wins this one with 47.8% of the vote, followed by Kelly Sutherland at 17.7%, And then Tim Peel, Dan O'Halloran, and Trevor Hansen get the votes from there. But the highest was Peel with 4.4%. Favorite rink to play in, and this one's interesting too, because again, where are players going to want to play? Bell Center in Montreal wins with 24.8%. Then United Center comes up with 21.9%. Madison Square Garden, 14.6%, followed by Staples Center in LA and Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. I'd like to see the vote next year and see where the Vegas Arena ranks, because I'm guessing it'll be pretty high next year. Which rink has the best ice? Montreal wins again, 28%. Then Rogers Place in Edmonton, 21%. And then at 6% each, MTS Place in Winnipeg, XL Energy Center in St. Paul, Scotiabank Saddle Dome in Calgary. There you go. 4 of the 5 are in Canada. The other one's in Minnesota, which is kind of like Canada because they love their hockey there. Which rink has the worst ice? Any bets on where these rinks are going to be? Let's go with it. BB&T Center in Sunrise gets 16.8%, so Florida. Glendale, Gila River Arena, it just sounds so weird to say it that way, 10.7%. Barclays in Brooklyn, 10.7%. Is probably all the heat off that SUV in the corner. Honda Center, Anaheim, 8.6%. And PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, 5.9%. So they're all either arenas we know need to go or southern arenas. So the heat outside definitely affects the ice too. Which team, excluding your own, has the best fans? And the Chicago Blackhawks win that with 30.4%. We got into that whole heckling thing, but remember, Chicago fans are very passionate. You're going to have some passionate jerks in there, but most Chicago fans are excellent. Followed by Nashville Predators, 19.4%. Montreal Canadiens, 18.8%. Toronto Maple Leafs, 4.8%. Winnipeg, 4.3%. I was not surprised to see Vancouver didn't have best ice, best fans, best arena, best, coach everybody wants to play for. This didn't surprise me. Who's the best forward of all time? Wayne Gretzky wins with 72.7% of the vote. Second place, Mario Lemieux, 11.3%. Sidney Crosby, 4.9%, followed by Yager and Peter Forsberg. So there you go. The players, when asked, say Gretzky's the best forward of all time. Who's the best defenseman of all time? Bobby Orr with 61% of the vote. Nick Lidstrom had 29.1% of the vote. Third place is Ray Bourque with 2.6%, followed by Coffey at 1.8%, and then Niedermeyer at 1.3%. Best goalie of all time, and this is always a contentious issue, especially videos I've done on this channel. Patrick Roy wins with 39.3% of the vote. Marty Brodeur is second with 33.2%, then Dominic Hasek at 13.6%. Carey Price and Ken Dryden both get 3%. Carey Price, there are players in the league that would put Carey Price ahead of Brodeur, Roy, and Hasek. Who is one player, current or former, you would like to have as a teammate? Gretzky wins that with 13.4%. Crosby gets 8%. Lemieux's third with 6.3%. So that's kind of interesting. They say that the best forwards were Gretzky, Lemieux, Crosby. But which one would you want as a teammate? It goes Gretzky, Crosby, Lemieux. Forsberg, 4.6%. And then Nick Backstrom with 3.7%. Who is your favorite player growing up? This is the category to make me feel old. Peter Forsberg, 8.4%. Steve Yzerman, 8.2%. Joe Sakic, 7.4%. Nick Lidstrom, 5.3%. Matt Sundin, 4.2%. If they asked me, I would have said favorite forward growing up. Yeah, it's actually a tough question. Because it wouldn't have been Gretzky. Wouldn't have been Lemieux. It wouldn't have been Yzerman. Cam Neely. I would have said Cam Neely. So I would have been the only person saying Cam Neely other than maybe Yager. Yeah. So it's an interesting poll in that it asks questions that we debate here. And these are the players themselves saying, this is what we think. And they play in the league. So because they play in the league, I put a lot of weight into what they have to say. And it's appreciated. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What questions would you like to see players answer? Like, who's the biggest rat? Who do you really, you can't stand them? Who would you not want for a brother-in-law? These kinds of questions, that I don't think they asked. That's actually an interesting one. Who would you not want for a brother-in-law? If I ever start interviewing players at any point in time, that's a question I'm going to ask. I'm going to write that down. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And again, the link to this article will be in the description below. So go ahead and check it out for yourselves. But thank you for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.